continuing to have conversations with our counterparts. And while I won't speak to any hypotheticals, we're going to continue to engage the SDF. We have ways to deconflict, of course, and the Secretary spoke recently to his Turkish counterpart. I'm sure he'll continue to do so.
Congressman Jeff Andrew, he says that the drones in New Jersey should be shot down. Is there any reason not to bring down these drones to figure out what they are?
Well, that's a decision for local law enforcement. If a drone or any activity is a threat to military installations, they always have the right for self-defense, and they can engage to respond to any potential risks. But with some of the drone activity or activities that you're referring to, there was not a threat to any military installation, so they didn't feel the need to engage. Yes, in the back.
On those airstrikes over the weekend, categorically then you're saying the US only targeted ISIS military assets, did not target any Syrian military assets.
We target the strikes over the weekend that happened on December 8th, targeted an ISIS camps and leaders that were operating in the Medea Desert.
So you're not targeting Syria.
I have no other strikes to speak to tonight.
Giving to Israel as it targets Syrian military assets and invades Syria.
So I would let Israel speak to its own operations. I think what you're referring to is the operations that they're conducting to eliminate what are threats to their security, which include chemical weapons, missiles, rockets that the Assad regime controlled. They have legitimate security concerns. They have a right to self-defense. It is their own operations. We're not giving them any support when it comes to those operations.
You keep talking about this. There's no change in the U.S. force posture in Syria. Under what legal authority, either international or national, does the U.S. have a force posture in Syria?
I'm sorry, what is the question?
Legal authority, either national or international, does the U.S. have a troop presence or force posture?
We've had a troop presence and arrangement there for a number of years. Again, we continue to operate with the SDF to ensure the enduring defeat of ISIS. That has been our mission. That has been our mission from the very beginning. Jared.
Serious situation. There's reports that Turkey-backed rebels near Manbij and Kobani are still launching artillery and drone attacks in the area. I think Raqqa tonight the SDF said it was a Turkish drone attack. This is after the U.S. brokered the SDF withdrawal to Manbij, which the SDF was going to ceasefire. I mean, how can the department ensure stability in eastern Syria and maintain security of the ISIS prisons if the department can't defend the SDF from an SMA attack? Is OIR authorized to do that, or is this left up to the State Department?
The OIR mission and scope still remains the defeat ISIS mission. That is in coordination and working with the SDF on the ground, whether it be partner raids or other engagement activities. It is a partnership with the S to ensure that ISIS can no longer resurge to the threat that they were many, many years ago. Again, and I think I've answered this, but we're going to continue to engage with our Turkish counterparts. We're going to continue to work so that there is deconfliction. At the end of the day, though, the SDF can speak to their own operations on where they're operating. We can only speak to our partnership with them when it comes to the de-ISIS mission.
So I'm wondering if you can confirm something reported earlier that a senior U.S. official told the SDF that the U.S. military cannot protect them if they do not withdraw from Manbij and relocate east of the Euphrates, and the U.S. cannot protect them in that area. Is that true?
Yeah, I can't confirm that. I'm not going to speak to an anonymous official.
Thanks. I just wanted to circle back to the Russian missile. When
So commercial satellite photos came out yesterday showing that the Russian Navy located a base in Taurus in addition to the interior base further south. Is there any concern from the building or from y'all that the Russian Navy and the Russian military at large are going to develop some type of basic ranks for those locations? Everything looked pretty intact when they left. Is there a concern that there's going to be a relationship with the Russian Ministry of Defense and the region security?
Well, we don't know what the new path forward in Syria looks like. In terms of, Russian assets, I mean, they just had one of their key political allies ousted. So their presence, their political prowess within the Middle East region is significantly reduced now that Assad is gone. We're seeing Russia consolidate assets, and to your point, some naval vessels leaving that area. Again, it remains to be seen what the path forward is in Syria. That is up for the Syrian people to decide. So I can't speak for what future relationships could look like, only to say that, with the fall of Assad, and Russia continue to be pulled into this, continuing their fight in Ukraine. I mean, they are clearly at a loss, and they are clearly expending more material, more capability, more people on the battlefield, and losing their stronghold, which you just saw happen with the Assad regime fall.
I mean, but those facilities were sabotaged, those airfields can be used, those ports can be used. I mean, if it was a full exit, you would expect that follow-on forces to be utilized.
Well, you have to ask the Russians why they're doing what they're doing. I mean, what we're seeing is a consolidation of assets, including, some Russian forces leaving Syria. What they're doing with their facilities and bases, that's for them to say.
Two quick questions. One, this is a Human Rights Week in Washington or around the globe. When U.S. military withdrew from Afghanistan, some agreements were made, promises were made by the Taliban to the U.S. and to the U.S. military, but they are not standing up, because especially against women. What role do you think U.S. military is still playing there in Afghanistan to protect those behind, especially women?
I think it's pretty clear we don't have a military role in Afghanistan.
Second, if there is any role, U.S. military role in Bangladesh?
I mean, other than, basic mill-to-mill ties, I mean, is there something more specific that you're asking about?
There are atrocities going on against minorities in Bangladesh, and this situation is very bad.
Yeah, that would be, I mean, that's more diplomatic conversations and engagements than mill-to-mill channels. I do have one question on the phone, and then I'm happy to come back in the room later. Power Element, Warzone.
Thanks, appreciate it. Just want to go back to the comments by Congressman Dan Drew. Has the Pentagon spoken to him, or has he plans to speak to him? And is there any sense from the Pentagon that there's a frenzy, a hysteria here that's overblown in terms of some of these sightings? And has the Pentagon assessed any of them to be confirmed to be drones as opposed to aircraft or something else?
Howard, for the question. I mean, local law